We're back on Hirschfelden in the Hunter Classic, and it's not something we do all that often, but at least as of late, when we've come to this map, we've had a decent amount of success, and there were a bunch of competitions running that I thought we'd go ahead and enter. Most of them are very straightforward, just your highest scoring animal of that particular species, no weapon restrictions or anything like that, so for the most part, we can just head out and hunt and see if we can continue our luck streak on this map. And perhaps not the best start, a pretty lackluster fallow, 25 to 95, but we'll try to take that with the cableback bow to at least get started. Now, I have struggled a lot with frontal shots on fallow deer with any bow, and I'm not gonna lie, I think that hit too high. He actually took a step or two towards us as we shot, so this may become a bit of a track job, and it is a body hit, so that may take some time, but at least we can kind of get going here. We sat in this stand, a red stag and this fallow called, and neither one of them came in. I'm not exactly sure why, but finally decided to track the fallow, and I'm going to say probably based on the size, maybe not the best call. So as we give our fallow a little time to expire, we've got a roe deer buck coming in that really isn't that impressive either, but probably still has more antler than the fallow, and hopefully our shot can be a little better here. It can be tough with a roe deer because when they trot in, we'll get to a point where they slow and stop, and normally once you're crouched up to get your bow drawn back, they spook right after that, but neckbone 3, 83 score, so definitely going to be better than the fallow, and that really didn't take that long. Got another roe deer calling, but that one is a doe, so we'll probably still continue to kind of skirt around the edges of these fields for a bit longer before we go and track the fallow. This definitely could end up being a bad thing, but we've got some more fallow coming in, and definitely a much better buck than the last one. But if we don't end up making a good shot here, we kind of end up with a bigger problem that we had, but we might as well try it. He kind of stops every couple seconds. That was admittedly pretty lucky timing that we got that shot off right as he stopped, and I think actually we still shot when he was moving. I thought he was going to stop, and he did, but that was certainly lucky to get a hard shot there. 106 score, so at least a little bit better. Got us in 23rd now for the fallow comp, and I'm gonna say probably it's been long enough to go and find our other one, so worked out in the end, but that very easily could have turned into a situation where we had 2 long tracks to go and do. Now luckily, the track for this fallow was not that bad. The biggest thing has been pretty much crouching the entire time. There are a bunch of fallow down here, and I really didn't intend on making this a fallow only hunt, or the beginning of this hunt fallow only, but if there are more around, we'll probably try to bring them in. 42 score though, not exactly a monster. Maybe going forward we won't have to shoot any more of that size, but I think we'll try to get to a spot we can actually see a little better, and we might try to call again. There should be some pretty close to here, at least as best as I could tell. This was the best buck that was in that herd. That estimate really is not fair. 105 to 180. He's going to be way closer to the 105 side of that. I thought I could hear other footsteps. I could. There was a red stag walking right at us. It wasn't that big, but that at least kind of looked like it hit him in the chest. This time it was a long shot, so that's not going to be too bad. But I don't know what happened, if maybe we spooked them when we took that shot or something. I had to go and track them down again, and I had to base it on track size. Our tracking skill level for fallow deer is not high enough to see the weight just yet, but this was the biggest looking track, and for whatever reason he was by himself, but we'll try to track him down, and probably we'll head out to just somewhere else, maybe by fast traveling to get to something else. And so after a not that bad track, I think our 3rd fallow buck of the hunt, left lung and stomach at that angle, and 115, so I guess we're kind of moving in the right direction. Now we're in 18th. That's quite the jump for not that big of an improvement, but I'm kind of thinking I'd like to go all the way up to here, but I don't want to fast travel and jump over all those fields, so we might go to the goose setup and then cross over. And there is no decent goose competition today. I guess we'll have to grab camping supplies before we do that, but we could maybe get some kind of random nice goose that could be landed out of the decoys as we go along. This is something. I don't know how we got into this blind without spooking things. There's so many animals here that we're running at 30 FPS. There's a red fox walking right at us, all these geese over here. I haven't gotten to really spot and make a determination as to which goose to maybe go for. because there's so much going on, but we might have to shoot the fox. I think it's going to get here and spook, and maybe we can just try to get something with the 22 pistol as for the geese, because it is just going to ruin the whole thing. Or we can do that, and nothing's going to spook. I never could have guessed that would work. Let's try to spot around then. And, you know, maybe the most unfortunate thing is that none of the geese are all that special. That one there that's kind of floating seems to be the best. And I guess we'll go ahead and try to take it. Might as well get something for this, because no matter what we do, we're going to spook everything. I don't know, this might cause some serious lag when we do this just because there's so many animals. But once they get out of here, the fallow deer are going to take off, that red stag's going to take off, and actually frames maybe are starting to recover a little bit. I guess we'll try to get this one out of the air since it's going right over us. Should be doable if we could kind of get centered. There we go. And we might save on our ammo because there's another competition, which is why I didn't want to go around the fields. Basically for your highest scoring pheasant shot out of the air with the 22 pistol from over 30 meters. And that's the type of thing that generally requires a couple shots as they take off. But that was kind of cool to see. I fast traveled to this spot many times trying to do that for geese. I've never had so many other species in these fields just kind of waiting on us, but let's grab this one. No idea what we actually shot here, but I'm assuming it won't be that big since, as far as I can tell, nothing landed over there really was. 5,900 scoring female is not too bad. I actually almost forgot that we even shot the fox. 11.1 kg, not bad. Hard shot him at 11 meters. 24 score, and that puts us in 10th for that comp. I think all of the top 3 placements are 30 plus, so that one would be pretty tough to get into, but you never know. We've run into some pretty nice foxes on Hirschfelden before. That stag's not going to be all that great, so we won't worry about him. But then we'll grab our goose, which I'm at least hoping will cross the 7 kg mark, and it does at 7.1, so 7,100 score. And what I expected to maybe be 1 or 2 kills from here ended up being 3, so not bad. But what I want to do is go ahead and cross the bridge and go through these fields. Ideally, we still see some fallow deer and red deer, but hopefully we can get a shot or two at some decent pheasants. I'm really not sure I've ever seen so many geese just away from decoys. This is actually the 3rd flock that I've run into just out in the middle of a field, but there is a pheasant here, and while it's not huge, 23 to 26, it is an opportunity to maybe practice a little, because this is not a competition I do all that often, and anytime that I do shoot at airborne pheasants with a 22 pistol, it's hardly something that I find that I'm very consistent with. So I think the way we'll do it is we'll get to maybe 18 meters, something like that, with the assumption being it's probably going to cover 10 or 12 meters before we can even kind of get on target, and hopefully by the time we can get a shot, it's right around at that 30 meter mark. So somewhere in here, I guess, because of that hay bale, and then we'll try to go ahead and spook it up. And then the question is, can we actually hit it? That felt really close. It's flying weird. We got the shot in there, so that had to be over 30 meters, but there was something odd it was doing, like it was almost leaned back. So while it helped us, I don't think that was the best practice opportunity, because I don't think they normally fly like that. It actually kind of presented more of a shot opportunity, because like more of its back was a bit of a target rather than shooting at it leaning forward where it's a little bit of a smaller surface area. I don't know what to make of that, but it's gonna get us on the board. If no one else has actually participated in this comp since it started, this might put us top 3. I only saw 2 entries when we began this hunt, but we hit body at 86 meters, 24.6 isn't terrible, and for now it's got us in 3rd place, so good practice opportunity, though maybe not the best example of what we'll deal with for any others. We really are not having that much luck with the pheasants in this hunt. Another kind of average one, 23 to 25, and that's the best we've seen in a while. Haven't really seen one fly kind of back past you. That was a little bit interesting, but I'm gonna say that was over 30 meters again by quite some margin. At least we're able to fairly consistently get them. It feels like any other time that we hunt Hirschfelden, you know, if we're specifically targeting fallow or red deer or maybe red fox every now and then, we'll come here for them. We find pheasants consistently 26 to 29, estimates like that. Enter a pheasant comp for the first time in forever, and we see a bunch of very average ones, but like I said, at least we are getting them if we can find a decent one. this one I doubt is going to improve on the last. 2.3 kg, 68.6 meters this time, and another 24, a little bit lower than the last one. Well, this is quite a twist. A max weight estimate, 1040 to 1230 wild boar, and I hope we still have the wild boar collar. We do. We actually had to start a new session. As you guys probably know if you count Monday's live stream, we streamed 2 hours early. And of course, this being Tuesday's video, it was recorded on Monday, and I unfortunately wasn't able to get an entire video's worth of recording done prior to that stream. So we're back out here on Hirschfelden. Quite frankly, I've been looking for one more pheasant to shoot at that's halfway decent size. And naturally, I think the wild boar comp was weight related or something like that. So even with what very well could be our personal best boar, it's not going to have a chance at being a competition trophy winner. But even still, one that I want to try to get. Now, ideally, he could maybe face us and we could go for a brain shot or even broadside with the cable back just to try to get into a lung. He's standing there kind of quartering now, and I don't know that I trust myself with the cable back for a brain shot. Maybe we can kind of tuck that into the chest for a lung hit. It looked decent enough, and I mean, any animal shot with a bow in Hunter Classic will die eventually, so it's not too risky to take a shot like that. I don't see much blood though. That is going to be a body hit. Really, wild boar and feral hog both are just tanks, and I kind of expected that, but more so than being tanks, they can be some of the most frustrating species in this game to actually track down once they spook. So I'm happy to take that shot. We'll run around for 20 minutes, see if we can get a pheasant that maybe gets us on the board for that comp, and then we'll come back, and ideally he won't be too far away. Just maybe this could be enough to get us back close to top 3. The problem is, it has been just about 12 hours since our first session, and I'm really not sure where the competition entries are now. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there were only 2 when we shot the first pheasant. So we'll kind of see as we scoot in, but we'll try to just kind of crouch our way in and get him to try to hide. And then, similar approach to earlier, we'll try to get to about the right distance. I don't know if we'll be able to see him that well. He's just kind of peeking out above the grass there. So let's go ahead and flush him from probably a little bit further directly behind him. They don't always fly straight the direction they're laying, but often they do. He's kind of doing that there, other than sort of shifting it to the side. Still not an easy shot to make. I really felt like that was going to hit, but still got him down. As long as we can encounter them in a fairly open field, it's not too bad making those shots. Takes a couple to kind of get on target, but a little random bonus goose as well. Probably should be holding on to these extra rounds of ammo, especially if we find a really big one, but yeah, we'll see where that gets us. In the meantime, a little extra kill as we go along here. This goose being 6 kg and a score of 5,900. And our pheasant, which is a 2.3 kg, 87 meter. What wasn't the other scores 24 point something as well? I think this is our best. Puts us in 6th for now. And given how long it takes wild boar to go down, we probably have the time to at least take a crack at a couple more. So I went ahead and checked the competition placements, and right now 3rd place I think was 25.8 or thereabouts. So technically, while we can't spot this one, I saw him from a distance and his max was 26, so I guess there's a slight chance he could get there. Make sure he gets over that 30 meter mark. I thought for once we're going to get that in one shot. Does it count when they're going to land? I guess we're about to find out. Well, I guess we will if he is big enough anyway. He is 24.4, so he wouldn't be better than the one that we just shot. But the A in the score does indicate airborne, so it would have counted if we didn't have one that big. I think probably though, as we have a very tiny looking rooster flying through there. We'll check this tiny field just to make sure there's no others around. And we probably have time to walk back and check on that wild boar. We've never had one over 1,200. The weight combined with the size of those tusks, I think there's a chance. And I'm just hoping maybe that's going to be what we have happen. But real quick, we'll take a look. I've been seeing a bunch of fallow deer does around. Have not seen a buck in this new session at all, but I see no sign of any other pheasants, so we'll just take a slow walk back to where we shot the boar, and hopefully he'll be down by the time we get there. So after all of that, about 30 minutes of either pheasant hunting or tracking after the shot, I can't recall having seen a max weight estimate wild boar with tusks like this in quite some time, maybe not ever. You can see where that shot was just to the side of the head, kind of into that chest cavity, but I'm optimistic there. It looks good. Head 30, I think, above the 1200 mark of room there in the estimate. 221 kg and a 1208 score. When I saw the weight, I didn't think he was going to make it. We're going to tax that first, because there's a... Ooh. Maybe we should do a mounted skull. I think we will. I really think we will. I don't like the wall mounts for them as much, nor do we have that much space. This gives us way more opportunity to display it. Let's do that. Hopefully I won't regret that decision, because of course we can't go back and do the opposite, but wild boar are scored by a combination of their tusks and their weight, as our feral hog, and I thought that 221 would be too low. That was enough. I think our previous best was 1183 or 1187, somewhere in that general area. To top 1200 on a hunt, like I said, where really we were going back to try to get one more pheasant, that's insane. That was not what I meant to do. I may have hit escape instead of backspace there. Little unfortunate, but I guess at least we have the mounted skull to look at. And I would love a confirmation screen for that, because that's the second time I've ever done it, and it's 12:43 a.m. I'm gonna blame it on that, but a little unfortunate. Would have loved to actually get a nice picture of that, but it is safe forever in the lodge. And going back just not very long ago, where I mentioned maybe regretting doing the skull mount, would have been nice to be able to see the full thing, but I guess... So this is our personal best brown bear that we did a skull mount of, because we already had a good one that was full body mounted, and it was relatively new at the time to do the skull mounts. I guess we'll take the duck out, just to keep the 3 species of rabbits all together. And I don't know if that's correct, because that looks absurd on that skull. I think it is probably size-wise about right, but the tusks don't line up as well as I would have hoped. Even still, I don't know what I would have taken down from the wall. Like, I'm still glad to actually have it displayed, as opposed to it probably would have went in not the main lodge. However, maybe not the best. What if we do that? That at least kind of helps to blend it better. We could do quite an interesting kind of decorative vibe. That actually kind of works. I think for now we'll go with the natural look, and quite frankly a fitting end to what was a pretty bizarre hunt, and nothing competition wise, but a personal best wild boar that we now have no trophy shot of. A little unfortunate, as I said, but at least we managed to get one down over 1200. I mean, from over here, like, you just see how much space there is between the tusk and the skull and just how big they are. That's pretty darn cool. I'm really happy to have a 1200 scoring boar skull in here. So going forward, hopefully we never, remove the opportunity to take a really nice trophy shot again. But at least it's here and we can look at that in the future. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.